on the couch right now is one of my favorite guests. You would know him as Stuart Early, Executive Director of Tahoma Bird Alliance. But today he is Count Early, or Count Blah Early. Welcome, Count Stuart Blah.
And happy bell sneakling.
We're going to crack ourselves up if we don't keep going. It is so great to have you back in the house. And we're going to talk about where have all the birds gone. So thanks for getting out of your coffin early to come see us. Boom, boom, boom. So vampires, we all know, they have an affinity with bats. But obviously we're here to talk about some birds, specifically this time of year. Where have all the birds gone? Why are we seeing less birds?
Well, we've actually been seeing less birds for a long while, but it's like if you have a glass
Yes.
of water or beer or whatever I've got in this mug.
Yes.
And
no beer. It's a
beer?
friendly family show.
Okay. And you drink a little bit and you don't notice. You drink a little bit more and you don't notice. And suddenly the glass is half full or half empty. And that's what we're seeing now. We've seen a gradual loss of birds, and now it's really coming home to roost.
So I think we like to think of ourselves, or I like to think of myself as somebody who understands details and is a deep listener. And I love the beer glass analogy. So if we're only noticing this now, and we weren't as observant as we thought we were, what does that mean?
Well, what we've had over 50 years, we lost about 3 billion birds, which was roughly a third of the total population from 1966 to 2016. But what we have now is Cornell Labs, who run the Feeder Watch project, we've been running that for decades, have now identified that we've got the lowest abundance of birds, their language, for 10 years.
Lowest abundance. You said those are their words. So what does that mean in our words?
Well, this demonstrates why we need to communicate better, because when you dig into the data, we've lost 16% of birds, another 16% on top of that 50% in the last 10 years.
Oh my goodness.
Now 16%, people think, oh, I get 20% off if I go to the grocery store and get this. That equates to nearly another billion birds. Even if this doesn't accelerate, and it is accelerating, even if the loss continues as it is, we'll have lost 50% of our total birds in the US by 2030.
Tell me you know what's causing this.
It's basically down to habitat loss, deforestation. We see it in South America, but that affects birds on their migration routes because they're hemispheric. Also, we're seeing huge numbers of bird strikes. We think we're losing something like between 200 million to 1 billion birds are dying through bird strikes per annum in the US. Now,
I want you to define what a bird strike is.
It's when birds collide with a building.
Okay.
You've seen them hit the glass in your house. Right. There's in Chicago, just about a year ago, it's almost an anniversary, 1,000 migrating birds hit one building in Chicago, October 2023. And that gives you an idea of loss. These are the birds being counted.
Oh my gosh.
And this is from one strike, hitting one building in one night.
And because those buildings are made of glass, and also they're made of very old brick and cement, so they're not flexible, so if anybody runs into them, they're not going to get up and continue.
Yeah, and if we keep lighting up buildings at night, the birds see them, they think there's a way through in the windows, and that's why you have them smashing into windows.
Oh God, so I have to tell you, this seems overwhelming. I remember growing up and putting plastic clings on our sliding glass doors and windows because we didn't want birds running into it. And that was back in, 1970. So what can we do now, 2024?
There's lots of things we can do. This is a situation where there's a global problem and there really are local solutions. We can protect our natural habitat. We can change building regulations so that future buildings are made bird friendly. We can change the lighting on buildings. Certain colours attract birds, certain colours don't. We can push back, like our 10,000 Trees for Tahoma project, where we're actually planting more trees.
Right.
There's also, and of course you can put feeders out in your yard. And at this time of year, when the weather's getting worse, that's one of the best ways of helping birds survive. and ensuring they have the strength for migrating in the future and to protecting their broods.
Exactly.
So there's all sorts of things we can be doing. And here you've got the hummingbird, Anna's hummingbird.
Yes.
Rufous hummingbird numbers are down by 67%.
That's much more than the 16% that I'm wanting to get at the grocery store.
Absolutely. And the World Wildlife Fund just recently released a report which stated that something like 73% of all, on average, 73% of all species had lost those numbers.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so our viewers, you have given us such beautiful advice over the past 2 years about feeders, about identifying, about what we can plant, about what we should do when we're out there with the birds. Give us some answers on how our viewers can help this.
Okay, clearly there's the feeders everyone can do. If people can find the time, write to your legislators to ask them to put in new building regulations to make future building developments bird friendly. I write to your legislators again to try and preserve green spaces. We've all seen it all across, the county, even in the city. Green spaces are being lost.
Yes.
We can do more by planting more trees. Talk to people, and I think we need to educate people and tell them our story.
Yes.
Because that is the most important thing. And one thing I would say is keep telling the same story because it doesn't register first time round.
That's right.
Don't know if you guys have, your viewers watch Ted Lasso.
Oh, yes.
Ted Lasso, there's a wonderful piece in that where a player says, I'm doing this because I just found out George Harrison died. And the interviewer says to him, but George Harrison died 20 years ago. And he says, but I only just found out about it. So we need to keep telling these stories about the birds and about how we need to solve these problems.
Yes.
Because if we don't, people aren't going to know.
Thank you. You are always just a joy to have on the comfy couch, and there's nothing about you that is for the birds. So thank you, Count Stewart, for being here today.
Well, thank
I
you.
want you back on the couch sooner than later, okay?
I'll try and come out of my coffin earlier.
Okay, I'll send you a note. We have much more to come on this Halloween edition of Cityline. Don't go away. We'll be right back.